I think they push the ball really well. They can do both. They can push in transition well. They can play slow. They have a ton of different sets. They're very deep. They're the deepest team we have played. Everyone on our scout, and there's a lot of them on the scout, average at least 8 points. And so every player has to be ready to guard. We have to play team defense.
They're coming up with their first break win of the season. They held UNC scoreless in overtime. Just what stands out about their defense and also that win.
It's a big win. I have watched them a lot, and I've been watching them in real time, and I think that they have always been ranked higher. They always play higher than they're ranked, and so I think that 22 was maybe just because they didn't start ranked high. I think that they're a top 15 team in the country. They're very deep. They play a way that I respect. They play positionless. Everyone can shoot. Everyone can drive. They're a very skilled team. They can put the clamps on you defensively. They showed that in the last game. And so I think it's going to be a really big test for us because, yeah, they were ranked 22nd. But again, I think they're a Sweet 16 Elite 8 team. Yeah, I think we know what it takes. I think we know what it looks like. I think you have to value every possession. You have to take care of the ball. The rebounding is going to be important. So it does help that we have some ranked games in big time stages under our belt before we head to New York.
We'll go to Casey in the back and then we'll follow up with Trevor.
I know on Sunday we talked a little bit about Alyssa leaving and just coming into her own. When did you first start to notice that things were kind of ramping up for her, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think as soon as we got back from our California trip, she had a new level of focus, and she was really determined to increase her role. And she is somebody who loves Tennessee and really wants to win. And anytime you have a player that values that before anything about themselves, it's really important, and it makes you listen to what they say and value them as a player. And I think she had that break. She really dominated in practice, and I think that helped her confidence. And again, the better she is, the better our team is. Yeah, I think every time you can play a ranked opponent, it really doesn't matter where it is, but you're getting to play the best of the best, and you'll be ready in March, and you'll be ready in the thick of SEC play, and you don't have to try to figure that out once you're already in SEC play. And I think that that's why we scheduled the way that we do, and it is a cool event. We went there last year. It is kind of a big time atmosphere, and I think our players will be ready for it.
Go next to Paige and then Cora.
For me, it seems that she's getting more confident, always kind of have a new baseline level of confidence. For you, what has it been like watching her kind of ascend and grow at the rate that she has as a freshman?
Yeah, for me, I think I've always seen it. So what you guys are getting to see now, I see every day in practice, and what you guys are getting to see and putting weeks together, I've known she always had that. I knew that when we recruited her. I've seen it in practice. It was only a matter of time, and I think that's the player who she is right now. I think that is her baseline of what you've been seeing. She's not always going to shoot great, but she does not turn the ball over at a high clip. She's very poised. She creates shot for other people. She is a good shooter. She can score a little bit more at the rim, so we want to continue to get more out of her. But she's a great player, and again, I'm not surprised.
I feel like we haven't talked a ton about Z this year, but she's been quietly pretty consistent for you guys, is averaging more rebounds and blocks this year. Just what have you liked about what she's done, and what are you looking for her to do more of as you get closer to SEC play?
What I love that she has done is she's our rim protector. And I think we were really exposed at UCLA because she was so preoccupied by the big that our guards' defense or lack of defense was really exposed because she couldn't clean up their messes at the rim. And she was able to do that versus NC State. She's been able to do that versus almost everyone. She is very good at protecting the rim. She has really cut her fouls down this year, whereas this time last year, she was getting sat almost every game, close game or not, because she was in foul trouble. So she's learned how to guard at the rim without fouling. She is going to be better than she's playing right now, and I think she's playing really efficient right now. She's cut her turnovers down our last couple games, taking shots in rhythm. She's one of the best scorers in the country off of a ball screen, so continuing to get her to sprint to the rim.
Go next to Brent, and then Ryan.
You always talk about building for SEC play, what it's supposed to look like at the end of this month versus what it looks like in November and December. Where do you think this team is in building with this game coming up and what you have the rest of this month? Where do you think you are?
Yeah, I'll have a much better answer to that after we play Louisville. I think we're getting better. I know we're getting better, and so I really hope that we can take a step and beat a ranked opponent before we get into the thick of things.
What would you like to see from Maya Paldo in this final non-conference stretch for her to get a little bit more back in the mix?
Yeah, I think she is a really good shooter for us in practice, just hitting them in games. Really scrappy defender, but cutting her fouls down so she can stay on the floor a little bit longer. She is somebody that just has great heart. She just gets out there and she scraps, and she's not afraid of anyone or anything. And I think that that's something you can't teach.
I feel like it was last week maybe you were talking about building consistency in practice and days together or just throughout the whole practice. Do you feel like you've kind of started to see slow improvement in that, or it's just what helps build that, do you think?
Yeah, I think we've seen improvement in that. I think that we're kind of through the chunks of our schedule where we have to have long days without games in sight, and they should be fired up for this one. We should have great practices, and school's not in session. There's no other distractions other than basketball, and so if they're not locked in right now, it's going to be a long year.
What have you liked about what Jada's given you over the last few games?
Yeah, I think Jada could give us more, and I think she knows that. Those are conversations that we have. She's a selfless player, so I don't know if I said it to you guys or not, but going into last game, I talked to her about getting to the rim more, scoring more, and she goes, no, I'm going to get 15 rebounds. I'm going to get 15 rebounds. I just want to go rebound the ball. And you could see her rebounding out of her area. You could see her going to rip them down. You could see, we watched on film, a couple teammates going with one hand, and her just taking them from them, even our own team, with two hands. Just a sense of urgency, to be a selfless teammate. But again, she's here to score the ball. She's here to be a offensive factor for us. So just continuing to grow that confidence in her, that is what her role is.
You've mentioned a couple of times playing defense without fouling. How hard is that for young people in your style and your system to learn? What is the challenge to get them to play without fouling the way you were talking about?
Yeah, it's hard because we pick up the entire court. We want to be aggressive. We want to let them bang around in practice. We want to build toughness. We don't really want to call a lot in practice because we want them to be tough, hard-nosed, blue-collar kids. And then obviously they're used to fouling in practice, and they get in a game, and then they got to stop fouling. And so that's a fine line of what days do you call it, when do you call it. So normally all of preseason we don't call it, and then as we get into season we start calling it a little bit tighter. So, some fouls you're okay with the dumb fouls, the fouls that are so far away from the basket, the fouls that are lazy, you're just going to put two hands on people, we're not good with. The fouls where you're going to try to block someone's shot where you didn't need to, just make them hit a contested shot, we're still trying to limit those. But I think that is one thing that we are clearly getting better at is cutting our fouls down.
Up until this point, what's the biggest thing you've really learned from this group?
There's a lot. You learn a lot every single day. And I think it changes on weeks. It changes on opponents of what we're trying to do. But I think the biggest thing you learned is that it takes time, and you have to develop, and you have to learn and grow. And just because you're great on paper doesn't necessarily mean that it's just going to get on the floor and click. If you got to continue to get games under your belt, and they got to learn chemistry on the court.
Cora, then Casey.
You guys have 2 more games still. Conference play, obviously Saturday's the big one. Just when you think about where you want this team to be going into SEC play, like what's kind of like your top priority of really wanting to see them execute to get better at Saturday?
Top priority is transition offense. We need to be able to score the ball in transition. And if you're gonna create havoc and you're gonna get turnovers, you got to be able to score off of them, or you're pressing for no reason. I want our shooting percentage to go up, but I think a lot of that goes with getting easy ones in transition, and then rebounding is going to be huge for us all year. If we're going to continue to miss shots, we got to be able to go get them.
In Sunday's game, there was a moment where Jada hit a big 3, but her first reaction was to point at, I think it was Mia who passed it to her. I've seen her do that a few times throughout this season. Her first reaction is just to point to the person who gave her the assist. Just curious about how you feel that speaks to her character.
Yeah, it talks about what I talked about earlier. She's a very selfless player. It's never about her. It's always about her team. It's always about what she can do to make our team better. And that's rare this day and age, that you have a player of her caliber who has been brought up as one of the top players in the country, and it's always about what she can do for other people. And she has been that since the day she has gotten here, and I hope she is like that every single day for the next 4 years.
Go to Brent and Paige.
Is there a percentage of points that is a winning percentage off turnovers? Because you don't score off of every turnover,
Right.
obviously. Do you have goals? Do you have a set percentage that we're supposed to score X number of times off of X number of turnovers. Is there a goal in mind there?
I don't have a goal in mind on percentages, but obviously I want to score off every single one. And we're to the point right now where we're not even getting a shot off on every single one. And that's where I'm having a hard time of, hey, you got to be able to shoot. You got to put yourself in an advantage where you can get a layup off of these. And we're not even putting pressure on the rim to try to get the shot off. Sometimes we're turning it right back over. And that's not acceptable.
In this matchup against Louisville, what are you looking for out of Nia Robertson, maybe specifically with her perimeter presence?
Yeah, I think what she has done in a short amount of time is maybe underlooked. She was a not efficient player coming in, and it's something that we had talked about, and we wanted her efficiency to get better and better and better, and it has. And I don't know what it is right now, but her shot selection has gotten so much better. Her turnover rate has been cut down. Her body has changed. She's playing better defense. She's playing great. And she is somebody I was really hard on early. I mean, really hard on in film, really hard on in practice, and she never wavered. She'd look at you. She said, I'll fix it, and she's fixed it.
All right, thank you.
Thank y'all.